Last night, someone told me the story of a young silk merchant, a man just past his 30s. He spoke of 5 secrets that must never be shared with anyone, and his words reached the very depths of my heart. Although this man had amassed great wealth as a caravan leader, he is a person of rare and profound wisdom in today's world. I do not know him personally, but I deeply respect his conclusions. In his story, he spoke truths that I can agree with down to the last letter. All of them reminded me of the lessons my wise old teacher, an aged man living in a remote mountain dwelling far away, taught me 40 years ago. I am an old dervish who has lived in this bright world for 90 years. I spent 30 years of my life in a secluded place beyond the clouds. Today, taking the young merchant's thoughts as my foundation, I will tell you these very same things from a completely different angle, through the eyes of an elder who can see further than he can. Not because I am wiser than him. Perhaps it is simply because I have lived 35 years longer in this world, and from such a great distance some things become clearer. Stay with me. I will try not to repeat what my young friend said better than I could. Perhaps I will try to add the conclusions he has not yet had time to reach at his age. Let me say at once, he listed 5 things. For those who have not heard his words, I will briefly recall them. First, plans for the future. Second, good deeds done. Third, disagreements within the family. Fourth, income and wealth. Fifth, the secrets of spiritual growth. All of these are absolutely true. All of them have been confirmed by life. But I wish to dwell on each of these 5 topics in detail and reveal the important aspects that are usually overlooked in such conversations. Because knowing what not to say is only half the work. Understanding why is the second and most important half. First, on plans. The young caravan leader expressed a very correct thought about the inner power of a person. The wise men of our age confirm this, and I believe it too. Scholars have established that when you speak about your future plans and receive praise in advance, your mind collects its reward ahead of time and loses the true desire to actually accomplish what was planned. But I will add something the young merchant did not say, because by nature he is a seeker of wealth, while I am a man of seclusion. The matter is not only about the energy within us, it goes much deeper. When you speak about a future deed, you release the energy of intention prematurely outward. It is like lifting the lid off a boiling pot. The steam escapes. The pot grows cold. You can put the lid back on, but until you heat it again, you cannot get boiling water from it. Heating it twice requires twice as much firewood and twice as much time. My old teacher taught me this long before any such discoveries, decades ago. He used to say, "My old friend, you cannot water a seed while it sits in the palm of your hand. A seed can only be watered in the dark underground. That is, while your intention is hidden, it grows. The moment you bring it into the light and show it to everyone, it withers." Because the attention of people is, in this very moment, the scorching heat of their judgments, their doubts, and their envy. A young sprout cannot survive under such heat. Therefore, the storyteller is 100% right. Keep silent about your plans until they become results. I add only one thing. Even when they do become results, it is better to restrain yourself. The answer, "Nothing bad happened," is far more peaceful than "I did such and such a thing and earned 1,000,000 coins." This is what the ancient wisdom of the mountain elders and the sound reasoning of those who have lived long teaches us. Second, on good deeds. The merchant spoke beautifully about ancient wisdom. The left hand must not know what the right hand does. This is so in all ancient teachings. Eastern and Western scriptures, all the sages of the deserts and mountains have been united on this. Is it a coincidence? No, it is not. It truly works this way. I will tell you a story from my own life. 30 years ago, in our remote mountain settlement, there lived a quiet craftsman who had come from a distant province. He was a very reserved young man. We all knew he received a small but steady pension from the state, and every month those coins would disappear somewhere. No one knew where they went. He himself ate no better than the rest of us. His clothing was as plain as everyone else's. He never bought anything new. Only when he passed from this world at the age of 86, slipping peacefully into sleep as if by his own will. Did we finally learn where his money had gone? It turned out he had a nephew in his home village who was physically ill and weak. For 30 years, he had been sending him every last coin. He had not said a word about it to anyone. Not to his own teacher. Not to us. Not to a single soul. 30 years. I thought to myself back then, if he had told us, what would have changed? And I realized everything would have changed. That hidden help was his spiritual prayer of solitude. Every letter he sent was a conversation between him and the Lord of the heavens, in which only the two of them took part. Had even a single witness entered between them, that conversation would have been severed, and the help would have been reduced to a mere money transfer, a dry accounting transaction. Therefore, I give you this advice. If you have done good, stay silent. Not for the sake of appearing humble, but so that it remains a secret conversation between the one receiving help and the one who watches over all from above. The presence of a third person in that conversation ruins everything. Third, on misunderstandings within the family. The young friend touched on this briefly, but I wish to spend more time on it, because this may be the most painful topic for people of today. The modern person has forgotten how to keep family matters within the family. When a wife quarrels with her husband, within an hour she is discussing it with 3 of her girlfriends. When a husband is displeased with his wife, he calls a friend and pours out his grievances. When a mother is hurt by her daughter, she goes to cry to the neighbor in the courtyard. When a son is angry at his father, he spreads it all among his circle of friends, and each of them thinks, I am releasing my heart. I am seeking advice. I am discussing it with someone close to me. In truth, they are chopping at the roots of their own family with the small blows of an axe. One conversation at a time. Let me explain why this is so. Every person who has heard about a quarrel between you and your spouse will forever hold in their memory only a one-sided picture of events, only your interpretation, without your spouse's point of view. In their mind, your spouse will become a certain kind of character, and when they later meet your spouse face to face, they will remember. They will not fully trust. They will have a subconscious attitude. Meanwhile, you and your spouse may have long since made up. The quarrel is forgotten, but the image planted in that other person's mind is permanent. You reconcile, but in the minds of your confidants, your spouse remains as you once described them in a moment of anger. Every time you do this, you are not seeking advice. You are building a case against the person closest to you. And each new witness added to that case is a brick in the wall being built between you and your family. I have seen in my life what becomes of families where there are no shared secrets between husband and wife, where each, upon any displeasure, opens a new court proceeding before friends and relatives. 30, 40 years pass, and they find themselves 2 strangers living under one roof, surrounded by outsiders who know more about their life together than they know about each other. Is this not the truest loneliness? What is to be done instead? First, a quarrel within the family must be resolved within the family. Second, if you truly need outside advice, seek out one single wise, trustworthy person. Ideally, someone bound by duty or sacred oath to keep your secret, and go to them alone. Not to 3 people, not to 2, to 1. Fourth, on income and wealth, the young merchant here spoke plainly and rightly. Do not talk about your earnings. Do not display your wealth. I will not add much here. I will only say one thing that comes from my 90 years of observation. The person who speaks of their wealth attracts 2 types of people: those who want to take it and those who secretly wish for its loss. Both are dangerous. Silence in matters of money is not modesty. It is wisdom and protection. The wealthy person who says nothing about their wealth sleeps more soundly than the one who has displayed it before the world. And in the end, they remain wealthy longer. There is one more thing I wish to add here. Speaking of wealth to those who have less than you is not sharing joy. It is inflicting pain. Even if it is not your intention, even if you speak out of sincere happiness, the person listening will feel smaller in that moment. The ancient sages of the mountains said, if your joy is real, guard it. for joy that is displayed too early evaporates, and it becomes borrowed sorrow for those around you. Fifth, on spiritual growth. Here too I wish to say more than the young merchant said, and this is where I feel most deeply, because this is the path I have walked for 70 years. Spiritual experience is the most intimate thing a person possesses. It is more private than the body, more delicate than emotion, more sacred than thought. When you tell another person about your inner states, your visions, your moments of closeness with the divine, you simultaneously do two harmful things. First, you reduce something infinite to the level of ordinary conversation. Second, you make yourself vulnerable to judgments you did not invite. I have met people who described great spiritual experiences in such vivid detail that everyone around them began to quietly doubt their sanity. I have met others whose genuine inner experiences were turned by listeners into subjects of ridicule. And I have seen how, after such incidents, those people never again touched those heights within themselves, because in their inner world, a guard was posted: fear of judgment. I speak about the paths of spiritual knowledge, about what I have learned. But never, do you hear me? Never will I tell you personally what I have felt in contemplation, what discoveries I have made, what conclusions I arrived at in moments of solitude with myself. That is between me and the Lord of the heavens alone. A third person is unnecessary, and I say the same to you. Cleanse the heart through silence, immerse yourself in contemplation, go to the elders, read the writings of the wise, seek meaning. But do not breathe a word about it. Only share what you have found in sacred texts or in the counsel of others. Your personal secret belongs to you alone. Do not turn your own heart into cheap cloth put on display before the public. The young merchant said something in his story that I particularly liked. He said, "If you want to make the one above laugh, tell him your plans." This is a very ancient piece of wisdom. It is attributed to various peoples. In truth, it is folk wisdom that was born simultaneously across all cultures, because all peoples observe the same thing. Whoever speaks loudly about the future never reaches that future. And I add, as a continuation in my own name, if you want to disappoint the one above, tell him about the good deeds you have accumulated. If you want to grieve him, complain about your family among people. If you want to anger him, boast of your wealth. If you want to betray him, make it known to everyone how you speak with him in prayer. Remember this staircase, 5 descending steps, from idle chatter all the way down to true self-betrayal. In our land and in our time, most people walk down this staircase every day without a second thought, simply out of boredom, out of a desire for attention, out of never having learned to be silent. Now, practical advice. What to do with all of this? Remember the rule? Before you say anything about yourself to someone, ask yourself one internal question. Will this information help this person, or will it simply waste their time? If it is merely an interesting diversion, stay silent. Most of what we tell others about ourselves is simply entertainment for the listener. Gossip, noise. And when you understand this, 80% of your urge to tell someone something about yourself disappears on its own. Second, keep a simple paper notebook and write into it everything that boils within you. Plans, grievances, fears, worries, dreams, spiritual discoveries. Everything you were about to tell a friend, tell the notebook instead. A notebook is the best conversation partner. It listens to you. It does not judge, does not tell others, does not envy, does not spread lies, does not sell your secrets. And most importantly, you feel the same lightness you would after a conversation without putting anyone's reputation at risk. If you truly cannot stay silent, choose one single person in your life before whom you can open yourself completely. Just one. Not 2, not 3. 1. And let that person be either your life partner or your spiritual teacher or a healer of the soul. It is better still if it is someone who keeps your secret by duty or by sacred oath. Your closest confidant friends are the worst choice for this role. Not because they are bad people, but because they are living human beings. They have their own lives, their own conversations with other friends, their own memories. not out of malice. Simply out of ordinary human forgetfulness, they will forget the promises they made to stay silent. And finally, let me speak about the main thing that caused me to begin this entire long story. That young traveler expressed a wonderful thought in his words. He said, "True wisdom lies not in what we say, but in what we are able to keep within ourselves." These are golden words, and I, as an old man who has lived 90 years among people and alone with himself, agree with every one of them. We live in a time when people are judged by how much they are willing to share about themselves. The more displays, the more stories, the more openness, the more successful a person appears in the eyes of the public. This is a lie. This is ancient wisdom presented in complete reverse. In our desert culture, among the mountain peoples, in the Far East, everywhere, always, the person who held their silence was valued. Whoever had secrets was considered wise. Whoever had no secrets was called a fool. The modern world has turned this upside down, and we are paying for it with anxiety, sleeplessness, ruined families, lost passion, and broken friendships. Return your secret to yourself. It is the most precious possession you can have. Great wealth can be taken from you by others, but a secret, as long as you yourself do not speak it aloud, no one can take it from you. The old Dervish has said what he wished to say. Take example from the writings of that young and spirited caravan leader. He deserves it. He is young, full of life, and speaks very well. I took his idea as my foundation and simply added what a man who has lived 35 years more might be able to say. And at the end, I wish to leave you with one saying of that old teacher of mine. He always loved to repeat this simple piece of wisdom. He would say, "Oh, my friend, seeker of the long road, everything you hold silent within yourself grows and flourishes. Everything you speak aloud flies away into the sky and is lost. Choose for yourself. What do you want? To grow something or to release it into the wind? Be wise in your choice. You still have enough time for it." And now, dear traveler, if this old one's counsel has brought even a little light into your heart, leave your approval on this writing, a like, so that these sound wisdoms may travel on the wings of the wind and reach other souls in need. Subscribe to this humble dwelling of mine.